I wanted to move back to the UK, my partner wants to stay in the US. Our family, 38M, 36F, and our kids, 12F and 10F, moved to the US on a temporary contract for my partner's work. He's done well here and was offered a permanent contract, but recently the situation changed, and the job may no longer be on the table. The choice of whether to stay in the US may now be out of our hands, but we are still considering it just in case. Important context: after a year and a half of school, I started homeschooling the kids because the oldest, 12, struggled at school due to a lack of support. The youngest, 10, adjusted fine and made friends, but the oldest had a harder time. If we stay in the US, I would need to find a job, which would mean the kids would have to go back to school. Initially, staying was based on the situation as it was. If we return to the UK, I'd also need to get a job, but the kids would go back to school with their friends and in an education system I prefer. Additionally, I would return to work in a sector I know and love. While that sector technically exists in the US, I believe it's not the same. My partner wants to stay here. He's had a great experience and can't see any real desire to go home. Meanwhile, I've really missed the UK, especially the space, the people, the food, and the culture. I've had a good time here, but the need for home has come up regularly. Now that going home is back on the table, I'm worried it could be taken away again. I'm also concerned about potential resentment from my partner if we were to move. On top of that, I'm worried about my children, particularly the oldest. I hated seeing her struggle at school with no one to connect with, and it was hard knowing she didn't really have the opportunity to make friends. I'm feeling torn and would really appreciate hearing any thoughts or advice. Also, I'm not sure how to bring this up without it feeling like I'm backtracking or causing an argument. Any tips on how to approach the conversation in a way that doesn't cause unnecessary conflict? Dr. I wanted to move back to the UK, my partner, 38M, wants to stay in the US. I've been homeschooling our kids, 12F and 10F, after our oldest struggled at school here. If we stay, I would need to work and the kids would go back to school. If we go back to the UK, the kids would be with their friends, and I would return to a job in a sector I love. How can I bring this up without causing conflict or backtracking?